Real estate is about freedom, choice freedom, time freedom, and money freedom, and the impact you can make with that freedom. But it doesn't come without cost. Your freedom takes work. That's why Neil Timmins brings together the tools you need to build your real estate legacy, from tips and tricks to interviews with industry titans. It's all here in one place. Real Grit. Let's get to it.
Hey everybody, welcome to Real Grit. I'm Neil Timmins. Hey, I'm excited that you're here today. I've got Ola Dantis here with me. We're going to be talking about syndication and multifamily. He's successfully sourced over $40 million, working closely with sellers, with other apartment syndicators across the country. Although he's only lived in the US for a handful of years, he's closed in excess of $15 million in transactions. He continues to exceed investors' returns, their expectations, and he's got a huge Instagram following. Now, recently in Austin, he just closed on a 178 unit apartment building, and he's working on another deal in Houston. So I'm excited to have him here. Ola, how are you, my friend?
Doing great, Neil. Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate the time.
Oh, it's good to see you again. I appreciate you taking the time to connect up here. Tell me, we all have a different background. What was your first step into this industry?
Again, thank you for having me. I love to tell the story because I recently could remember listening to podcasts and somebody comes on and they've done a gazillion, amount of deals. I just can never connect with that person because you don't really have a context, right? Yeah. So I always love to tell the story. I came to America a few years ago, kind of quickly got into the American dream, get a job, go to work, come home, traffic, get a job, like just that cycle, right?
Right.
And I was kind of questioning, like, I love this American dream, but it's kind of predictive. Like, what else can I do with my life? So a friend of mine used to live in the UK. So a friend of mine in the UK called me and said, "Hey, Ola, I want you to fly over to Dubai and kind of help me with my business and kind of help me restructure my business because I know you're good with like business strategy and stuff like that." The reason I'm telling this story, however, is just not to tell the story, is success never comes in a golden box with a red ribbon around it.
No, right.
Success could come to you as somebody saying, "Hey, can you help me with this?" And then you get to, learn something. So anyway, my friend told me, "Hey, can you come to Dubai? I need to, go there and bring some investor money, but I also want you to help me with my business, a real estate business back in the UK." So I did what a smart man does. I prayed about it and I told my wife, and this was like ages ago. This was way before the pandemic, way before everybody has Zoom. This is back in the days. Like, well, why don't you guys Skype? Why are you going all the way there?
Why are you going there?
I told my wife, I was like, well, maybe I would learn something new. Like, I don't know. So anyway, I was on the plane to Dubai. We stayed in a hotel with my friend for, just like 3 days, masterminding on his business, his property investing business in the UK. And I thought, oh my God, like, wow, I probably could do this in America, right? I don't know anything about real estate or properties, but I probably could do this, right? So on my way back on the plane, I was like, yeah, I really want to do this, right? So I got back to the US, went to my first best friend, Google. Literally. So now if you're listening to this and you're about to get started or you want to get started, that was my first, my first place.
Sure.
Then I got plugged into Bigger Pockets, right? Learned a ton, listened to all the podcasts from the bottom up. And then I went to my second best friend, which is Amazon. I'm dropping knowledge bombs here. So if you want to do anything in life and you're living on this planet today, Google has a ton of information. This is like not news, obviously. Right. Amazon Books has a ton of information, right? So I went to those two places, got plugged into Bigger Pockets. Anyway, long story short, in like 6 months after this and on the timeline, I bought my first property, which was a duplex in a Class A area in Baltimore, Maryland. Now,
I didn't know Baltimore had Class A.
Oh, they do. How dare you? How dare you, dude? I love that city. I'm now in Houston, Texas. That's a different story. But I bought my first deal. But I want to mention this too. While I was doing all this, I was living in Maryland in a luxury apartment. I didn't know about cash flow then. Paying rent every month. Life was good. I'd never worry about plumbing issues. I don't care anything breaks. I call the maintenance people that come and do it. I never worry about trash. But obviously when I bought my house, my duplex, then I had to start taking the trash out. I could never find parking because we live in the city. It was uncomfortable. It was not convenient, right? On your journey to success and to wealth is never comfortable. So So this is a hack for anybody listening to this. When you get started, it's not going to be like easy, right? You're going to have those bumps. But anyway, bought this duplex, the first month, the tenant upstairs actually sent money into my Bank of America. And I was like, geez, like people paid me money to live in my house. And I didn't have to put a gun to their head. I'm like,
Right.
This is really good.
Yeah, right.
That was my first epiphany, right?
Yeah.
I love that. And then the second epiphany was, we're at home in our new duplex. I was, doing what, lovers do after work with their wives, cooking. Just cooking with my wife. And I was telling my wife, I was like, oh my goodness, like my account is just got so much money in it.
Yeah.
What the heck is going on? Like, I remember when we were in the luxury apartments, I get paid, money goes out, I get paid, money goes out. But now money's actually sitting in my account. And my wife was like, oh yeah, me too. I have a ton of money in my account as well. I'm getting paid. I'm saying all these things. They're quite nuanced. But for those that are listening and paying attention, pay close attention. So we were living in an apartment, no money, bought a tiny house, a tiny duplex. Now we starting to have money. I was like, oh, what if we did 5 of these? We probably have to quit our jobs. Like if we did just 5 times of this, very modest, very little tiny house. I still own those properties in Baltimore today. Yeah. You walk past Friday, but it's a cash flow based. Like they make so much money. Yeah. So after that, I was like, oh my goodness, I need to do more of this. But I fell for a trap, which was the shiny object syndrome. Soon after, a partner that said, hey, Ola, let's go flip some houses down the street. And I used to watch a lot of HGTV. So that took like 2 years away from my journey because I was doing something I never wanted to do. I'd already actually started a mentorship program to buy apartments, right?
Yep.
But I went flipping. So I lost 2 years of that. I like to tell that story.
Did you still have a job at the time or had you left you did?
No, I did. Yeah.
Yeah. You still had a job and then you decided to buy an apartments on hold and you got another job, which was flipping houses.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That did not go well.
Right.
That did not go well. I mean, I did a few projects, but I realized, and this is really important too for those listening, is you have to know thyself, know what you like doing. Now, of course, you don't really know what you like doing until you experiment, right? Until you do certain things, but pay attention to the kind of person you are. If you think you're not going to like something, it doesn't matter. Not investing, flipping, whatever it is, make sure you listen to your gut. So I did that. And then by the time I got back to my cohort, folks doing syndication before, my friends were doing 200 apartment unit deal. I was way behind because I spent 2 years flipping. So I'm going to stop there. I don't know if you have any other follow-up questions.
Yeah. Tell me factually, just so I have a frame of reference, and then I'm going to pivot back to Dubai. Where are you from originally?
Nigeria.
Nigeria.
In West Africa. Nigeria.
All right.
Yes.
Yep. Cool. All right. So
I've lived in Nigeria, lived in the UK, and now in the US. The US is the best country. I tell anybody that wants to listen to this.
Yeah.
I've lived on 3 continents. Believe me, this is the best one. If you don't believe me, go to Africa.
Yeah. No, well, you discovered it. I'm born and raised. I won the birth lottery just by happening to being born here. You know what I mean? In comparison, you're right. I mean, there's no way around it. What year did you come here?
This was in 2013.
All right,
so
perfect.
almost 10 years.
Almost 10 years now. Yeah, cool. All right. So take me back to Dubai. You left here, the spot where you'd listen to podcasts like this. You'd listen to people and they'd be doing a gazillion things. And it felt way out of reach. You go to Dubai, have a conversation with a friend, more than a conversation, a deep mastermind for 3 days, come back and go, I can do that. What had to take place over this course of the 3 days for you to go, I can't do it. Now I can do it. And I'm going to do it.
That is such a good question, Neil. So first and foremost, right, like perception is reality. So as I was in that room with my friend, I've known my friend for years and he's crushing it. So I'm like, wait, I can do this. I'm actually helping my friend do this better. Right. So I knew I could do it from a tactical perspective. Right. But that's not the full picture, right? You can build a house right by yourself. It might take you 10 years to do it, right? Or whatever. But I knew I could also do it mentally, right? I knew if I persevered, if I read books, if I fed my mind with information, I definitely could do this. Plus, having my strategy background, the taxes that I know in business, I could definitely do this. So kind of putting those ingredients together, but really appreciating the power of perseverance. Entrepreneurship is all about that. You cannot remove that ingredient. You have to persevere. I do this till this day. right? Don't take no for an answer. Keep going. Keep going. So that's really what really transpired in my mind, that I knew I have to do this. And moreover, I was already thinking, I've got to do something else. Like, I just can't be doing, like, I've got to do something else.
So you buy a duplex, you took a detour, you went and did some house flipping for a couple of years, and then what?
I want to state this again. After my duplex, and I said to my wife, hey, I think we can do this, or even maybe do this bigger, right?
Right.
So I was listening to a podcast back in the day, and then I heard my mentor was a guest on that podcast.
Oh, yeah.
And, he has like $1 billion right now worth of, apartments, but then he had 100 million. This was years ago, right? And at the end of the podcast, he was like, well, they asked, like, how can people reach out to you? And he was like, well, I'll give her my number. Nobody's going to call me anyway. So he gave her his number. Obviously, I'm nobody. So I called him and said, hey, remember?
This is nobody calling.
I'm Mr. Nobody, yeah. And I said, whatever you're charging to mentor, your students, I can never afford it. Just give me a payment plan. I'm not just saying this to make, your audience laugh in their car at the gym or whatever. I'm saying this because that's what it takes. Like,
correct.
You can reach out to people. Don't be afraid. And then if you think you can't afford it, ask for a payment plan. It's totally fine. Yeah. I mean, of course, I don't ask for payment plans anymore at this stage of my life.
Right.
But I did then,
right? You asked for a discount on cash. Everything's negotiable, is it not?
Exactly.
Just like property, so, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And he said yes. And he took me under his wing, and I started learning about apartments. So like I said, when flipping then got back, but what I did from a tactical perspective for those paying attention is, before I started buying apartments by myself, I partnered with people that were doing it in my group, right? In that mentorship program I had. So they're buying a deal, I come on the deal, I help them, with that deal. Then I get involved in that deal, right? So that gives me, a track record. Yep. So that's what I did in the beginning. So did a few deals like that. And then I realized this is really important too. While I was doing that, I realized I was living in Baltimore at the time, remember, for those following the timeline. But I realized Texas was a really great market. Never been to Texas, obviously. Remember, I got to the States a few years ago. Right. I was like, this Texas, I think something's going on there, right? And I'm saying these little things for people. Don't think, oh, I live in New York City, so therefore I can't do anything. Oh, I'm in Montana, I can't. Move. You're not a tree, as Jim Rohn says. Move to wherever you can get whatever, real estate strategy that you like. Move to that state. Right. Because that's what I did. I'm not telling you what I haven't done. So I told my wife, let's move to Texas. Quit your job at the bank. Let's move to Texas. Right. That's what I did. Move to Texas, then obviously bought my deals, pretty much thereafter pretty quickly.
What was your first apartment deal?
So this was a 22 unit here in Houston, beautiful location in the medical center, museum district. Found the deal through a broker, preempted the seller. That just means we give them an offer before it kind of goes all the way through to the market. We closed that pretty quickly. That was a solid deal. We still own that deal, is doing fantastically well. Really grateful for that one.
So there's a lot of people who just crush it in single families. They may fix and flip. They may have rental properties in single family. I say singles, ones, twos, threes, fours, that space. They may have a portfolio there. They may do well, but what does it take to go from single families to apartments?
First and foremost, your mindset. Right? There, as you get older, you kind of see patterns in different people that you meet. Yeah. Some people have that mindset of overgritting. Like, oh, I can do single family. I'm going to flip 10 houses alone by myself. I'm just my own boss. I'm going to go. That's great. But is that what you really want for yourself? Meaning you wake up, you do your 10 flips every year, next year 10 flips, or next year 15. If that's what you want, because you're a construction kind of guy, it's just like your thing, you like getting dirty, that's fine. Yeah. That's okay. You just have to know that that's what you want. Yeah. But what would keep you there is if you think that would make you scale to bigger deals. It wouldn't, right? Unless building like cities or, whole subdivision. Right. So I think some people, number one, is that that mindset of overgritting, like I'm going to do everything all by myself.
Yeah.
If you're able to be vulnerable, step back and understand that life and nature is all about being dependent on other elements, including other human beings. It's a mindset shift. And I see this all the time in meetups I go to, like, oh yeah, I'm flipping houses. Like, no, it's not about that. It's, can I do, instead of me doing a $200,000 flip, or can I do a $10 million deal that I have 2, 3, 5, 10% equity in, right. Or do I do 100% $200,000 flip and I have to like be looking dirty all day? But that none of them is right or wrong. It's just what is right for you.
Yep, that's exactly right. But what you're saying is there's just either a mindset gap or there's an identity gap, meaning they just don't see it within themselves to identify as that person who does a $10 million deal.
That's fine too. And that's 100% fine, right? But if you want to do more, then you have to obviously, overcome that mindset.
That's right.
Right. After then, you have to get educated, right? Because this is not, this is not buying something from Walmart. This is buying a $10, $20 million deal. Right. And it requires a level of sophistication. It also, requires a level of big thinking. Right. So number one, overcome that mindset. Number two, get educated. Number three, just understand that it takes a village. Right. Anyone, including folks listening to this that have done a $10+ million deal like I have, really appreciate the value of the village. Even if you were a rich Saudi prince, or even Jeff Bezos, and you're trying to buy a $10+ million deal, you cannot do it by yourself. You can have the money by yourself, but you need attorneys, you need, title folks, you need due diligence, you need a property man, so when you understand that, it's okay to be one cog in the wheel.
That's right.
So that's what I would say.
It requires a team. It's very similar to that. If you're flipping homes or have remodeled homes, it's very similar to that in the sense that somebody's got to be the quarterback and then you direct traffic. These are just same principles. It's just different people going different places, doing different things.
100%.
But you've got to educate yourself to be able to get there.
Of course.
Well, knowing what you know now, what would you have done differently from the get-go in real estate?
First one that comes to my head is I wouldn't have flipped. Yeah. Nothing wrong with flipping. I just realized it wasn't my thing.
Yeah.
The other thing I would have done differently is I would have started a little bit earlier, like a little bit more, like earlier.
Like birth.
Yeah, like birth, like coming out and just go, give me my first deal.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll be crying. Give me the first deal.
Yeah, well, I think that resonates with everybody. Start earlier. There's no doubt about that. That is a popular one. Yeah. What's been the biggest challenge, or has there been a hiccup along the way in your journey in apartments to be able to get from starting at, all right, I want to do this, to all the deals you've done?
I think I'll move a little bit closer to kind of the challenges I'm seeing right now that I'm constantly working to overcome. Is I would like to raise more money, more equity.
Yeah.
Right. And this is one of the things I love to say when I speak on stage as well. Like some people will tell you, find a good deal, the money comes. Not true.
Not true.
Not true. Not true. Not true. And I want the whole world, the whole real estate investing world, to pay attention. You can have a good deal and the money can come, but it depends on the person. So let's not be quick to say, oh, if I find a deal, the money comes. It's not always true, okay?
Right.
So that's not what I've seen in my career. So I would love to raise money. That's a challenge that I'm constantly trying to be innovative. And I do raise money, but I want to build a better machine.
What's one habit that you possess that you do? You couldn't live without it.
Meditation.
Meditation. Yeah. Where does that
100%.
fit? Every day?
Every single day. Most days I miss it. You have to, that's what makes us human. I miss it, but I meditate. I tell people, I'm a big believer in God. I pray a lot, but one of my secrets to success is not prayer. It's meditation.
Where does it fit in your day?
Every morning. First thing I do when I wake up, I have a routine. I wear the same Dwellynn t-shirt. I wear the same thing every weekday.
Yeah.
Right. I can talk about that. So I'm very, very military type thinker. Like I wake up very early, 5 a.m., and then I meditate. I have my oolong tea. I try to go for a walk in the morning if it's not too cold. I don't like the cold. If I don't, I do it during the day. So I have specific things that I do, but meditation is definitely a game changer.
How long? 15, 30 minutes? What do you do?
Usually about 20 minutes.
About 20 minutes.
Yeah. And I want to just kind of like, if somebody's like, oh, come on, dude, that is like, come on, dude, you don't do that. This is what meditation is. People think meditation is I sit down and I clear my mind. I don't want to think about anything. I don't want to. No. That's not what meditation is about. It's nothing to do with that. Meditation is you sit, you focus on something like your breath. Your mind wanders. Oh, what am I going to have for breakfast? And then I'm meditating. Focus on your breath. Oh, I gotta do that task. Go back, meditation. That's what meditation is. Not I sit down and I don't think about nothing. No, that's not what meditation is. That's a really,
it's almost non-thought defense, isn't it? You've got to bring it back and focus on the breath.
That's it. That's what it is.
The thoughts will flood.
It would be because you're human.
Correct. Where are you headed? What's 2022 look like for you?
Busy. The goal is for our group to buy about 600 units. So we're working on that. I just came back from looking at a deal. So it's looking really busy. I do want to say this though, for anybody else listening out there. I spoke to someone who has about $4.3 billion worth of real estate. And he started with a 16 unit in 1985. Yeah. And I said to him, I was like, I want to be you when I grow up. And he said this with a straight face on a Zoom call like this. He's like, well, you're going to need a lot of professional help and a lot of medication. So the reason I'm bringing that up is be careful what you wish for. Just like when Obama went into office, right? And he had all this like dark hair and he came out and had all this gray hair.
Yeah.
So, when I look into the future, I'm in my 30s now, I want to make sure that I want joy, not happiness. That's elusive. Joy.
Yeah. And it sounds like your ability, and you talked about this very early on in our conversation, the ability to understand thyself, know what it is that you want, what you're good at, and then seek that and figure out how to put it in your life. And that was tied into flipping what you should not do, right?
Exactly. Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's do this. So let's move on to a final segment, what I call for impact. Your favorite quote: there's always a price to pay and there are no discounts. What about that resonates with you?
It's kind of what I just said, actually.
Yeah, right.
So, in life, there's always a price to pay and there are no discounts. You're always going to pay the full price. What does that mean? Like if you say, hey, I want to be the biggest and best and this and that. Well, be careful because that may mean you don't go to your kids' soccer team, right? Or you don't get to see your kids grow because you're all over the country traveling, right?
Correct.
What matters most to you? Start there. Like money is good. I love money, but don't let that be the central focus of your life. Like make sure you also do things that bring you joy. Make sure you do things that bring you peace. Make sure you're aware. That's why meditation is such a big thing for me, of what's going on in your life. So that I think for me, that is what resonates the most with me. There's a price, and be damn sure, be ready to pay that price because there's always a price for everything.
What do you think holds most investors back from hitting their personal next level?
Great question. I would say it's the natural ambitions of our mind, right? We can't see ourselves doing, myself included, doing a $50 million deal, a $100 million deal, right? It's just that constant block, right? So I think that's the same exact block, Neil, for somebody that can, see themselves doing a $1 million deal and they're just doing flips, like 300,000 flips. It's the same exact one. So I think that's the most thing that holds us back. And I don't think it's a bad thing. It's a natural defense mechanism. We just have to be aware of it. Like, we know that this is a thing and we need to know if we want to circumvent it or we want to leave it in place.
How does somebody overcome it?
You open up yourself to be vulnerable, right? If you, let's go small. I don't want to be throwing big numbers, right? Let's say you're doing a $300 flip, right? $300,000 flip. And then you're like, I want to do something like $1 million, right?
Yep.
Open up yourself to be vulnerable by going and looking at what $1 million, maybe luxury house or maybe a retail strip center in your area. What does that look like? What does that feel like? How do you buy something like that? Speak to an investor in your local area. That's you being vulnerable because you're asking questions, right?
Right.
You're reaching out to somebody doing that stuff, right? What does the spreadsheet look like for a $1 million deal or a $300,000 flip? Work with that spreadsheet, talk to the brokers like in your area, if that's what you want. So I think that vulnerability helps you to, somewhat shake that off, right? That's what I try to do. I underwrite $50 million deals. I look at $100 million assets, class A, 2021 built asset, and I just salivate over my screen. I can't buy it right now, but I kind of get used to it, right? I'm not running away from it.
No, you lean into it.
Exactly.
Outside of real estate, what are you most passionate about?
Helping others. Like I said, I lived in Baltimore, and we still have that on our website. The 1 house pledge is really close and dear to my heart. Praying to God and really hoping this happens. But we're trying to give a house mortgage free to a family somewhere in the United States. We could be back in Baltimore. My wife and I, that's really close to our hearts. And of course, we need to make a little bit more money to get there. But that's a pledge that we're working towards constantly.
No, that's terrific.
Yeah, it's not the $1 million mansion though, Neil. It's not the $1 million mansion, I promised.
I understand. What's your favorite way to make an impact in the community?
Just volunteering. I think this past couple of years, if you've been on this earth, if you're not under a rock, it's just been really challenging.
Yeah.
So I think it just really humbles all of us to, try to just give back and volunteer. So the Houston Food Bank is a good one that I volunteer with locally.
No, that's terrific. So if people want to follow you, they want to connect, they want to learn more about what you want to do, they want to get with you on Instagram or learn about investing, how can they track you down? What can they do?
If you're watching this on YouTube, then investwithola.com. That's my backdrop. Invest with Ola. That's investwithola.com. That basically redirects you to the Dwellynn website. Instagram, I'm not as active as I used to be.
Sure.
But you can find me there. I'm pretty much ubiquitous on the internet. So just Google my name, Ola Dantis, you'll find me. And just tell me you heard about me on News podcast.
Yeah. Perfect. We'll make sure we get the links in the show notes here. I sincerely appreciate you taking the time up. You've got certainly a unique story coming from Nigeria, coming to the American dream. And then, while you're living it, finding a new dream to make it yours and getting into this industry and then overcoming really a mindset that you're right. A lot of us start in, and then it's just unpacking those things to continue to level up to new exciting heights.
Exactly.
Thanks for taking the time to connect up. We've got a great story, and I'm certain the audience here would agree. It's a fun story. Thanks, Ola.
Thanks, Neil. Appreciate it.
Hey, everybody here at Real Grit. I'm Neil Timmins, reminding you that real estate requires real grit. I'll see you next time. If you like our content and want more, you can access it at realgritpodcast.com. You hear it guest after guest. Instinctively, you already know it. But let me call it out. The most expensive action is inaction. The real estate market is full of opportunities. You just need to uncover them. You can build a business that lasts for years, makes monumental impact in the lives of those that you love. It's not just about business, but about the freedom you get because of it. Have you ever heard the saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. I believe that partnering is essential. In fact, I partner with hardworking investors all the time. The point is that you can get a lot further with the right partner. Let me say it again, the right partner. If you've ever thought about partnering with anyone, or if you have a partner now, I encourage you to download my free Partner and Profit Guide, which includes the top 5 must-answer questions to evaluate a profitable partnership. You can find it at www.legacyimpactpartners.com. I'll see you in the next episode.